Hi, I'm Katherine Nelson. I'd like to thank the Rockville Art League for selecting me as their juror for their winter mixed media exhibition here at the beautiful Glen Mansion. I'm an artist and a teacher. I have a background in art education, degree from Skidmore College, and a master's in drawing from SUNY Albany. I currently teach drawing at the Yellow Barn Studio and Gallery in Glen Echo, Maryland. I'd like to tell you that it's a real honor to be invited to jury in an exhibit, because in that process I am also learning from the artists that submit work. It takes a lot of risk to create work, and it also is more risk-taking to submit it for a juror to consider for an exhibition. There are many varied approaches to creating work in this exhibit, and it was quite a challenge. Several of the things that I looked for was the artist's ability to convey a message through the work, to present themselves in a way that is masterful of their medium, and to pull me in and draw me and hold my attention. This is the work that I selected for the Best in Show. It's a work by Robert Lamar. It's called The Blue Jar, and it's in oil paint. I wanted to let you know a little bit about this piece and why it struck me as the piece that stood out for the Best in Show award. Robert has created an image that is very well organized, that has a beautiful sense of color and light and illumination, and in that combination he also abstracts some of the elements, so you have an interplay between dimensional objects and flat, interesting, abstract objects. I love how he has sparkles of color in certain areas and darker muted color. There's also, in a way, an abstraction of the leaf and the shape and the repetition in the back. It's incredibly well balanced, and it has lines leading your eye to the back, to the paper stack, which also is abstracted, and up into the cornice of the window. It's an absolute beautiful piece with illumination, abstraction, edginess, and it holds my attention. I'd like to congratulate Robert for another beautiful piece. This is Patricia Zanni's work. It's called Aspen Trees, and I've awarded it the first place for the mixed media and experimental category for this exhibition. It drew me in immediately because of the complexity of the piece. It invites one to look and to explore how it's made. I look at it and I think about the amazing amount of patience it must have taken to clip each one of these little pieces of paper, to stack, to organize, and to compose the piece in a lovely way that is evocative of standing in front of a grouping of aspen trees in the fall. She's completely successful in creating harmony, repetition, pattern across the piece, and there's a beautiful delicacy to the piece that holds your attention. This is a work by Karen Norman. It's called Whirling, and I awarded it the first place for watercolor. The watercolor category was the most difficult category for me to juror. There are a lot of interesting selections and submissions for this category, and I looked for the ones that really had a beautiful blending of personal vision and mastery over the watercolor medium. It's an incredibly difficult medium to work with. Karen has demonstrated an ability to compose a beautiful image of an ordinary object and make it extraordinary. It is a group of apples in a glass bowl where she has developed areas of the piece that are opaque and translucent. The beautiful line pattern that goes across and around the entire piece keeps your eye moving, and the apples are incredibly lush. Her watercolor technique in terms of layering and moving the color and having control is the perfect combination of opacity and translucency. She's included some speckles of white here, adding more illuminated qualities, the feeling of whirling of glass, and it really draws you in. It's composed very well, and the color is bright, and the piece is fresh. This is a work by Martin Slater titled Lena 5. I selected it as the winning first place because of its amazing composition and the handling of the charcoal. Martin has been able to compose something that is both sensual, restful, and contemplative all in one composition. The interesting part to me was the use of dark on the foot here and the dark on the hair that pull this together, and then the entire length of the composition. It's sort of abstract, slightly abstract handling and stylization, but it's very effective, very voluminous, and is simple in some areas and more complex in other areas. I thought it was the perfect example of a restful figure. It has a classical feel to it, and I was clearly a winner. This is the piece I awarded first place for oil painting. It's by an artist named Patrick Sieg, and it's called Early Morning, Late October. I thought it was a beautiful example of plein air painting. He has done a remarkable job of composing the composition on location and created a wonderful, warm, emotive type of a piece that captures the essence of a fall day in rural Maryland. I love the use of the color and the transitions of the blues in the background and how they're painted in such a way that they divide up the foliage. I think the light that comes down on the house is an interesting abstraction. The entire piece is well balanced with color, and it has a beautiful, brief, not overworked kind of a feeling to it, and it gives me a sense of coming home. So I felt that it's, on an emotional level, it really captured something that many people could relate to, and therefore it became a very powerful piece. This is a piece by Floyd Roberts, and it's a metal sculpture that I awarded the first place in sculpture award to. I loved the piece the minute I saw it. I thought that it had an amazing amount of charm and spontaneity. Just the sheer mass of the way these wires are twisted and pulled together and composed within the piece, and the energy of the bird which is conveyed made it stand out. I had a lot of time working on creating the form, and also at the same time working with creating a sense of balance and action in the piece, and the engineering in it is interesting as well. I love that the bird in essence has an expression, something like it scored a fish, and it has a very wonderful feeling of joy and nature and an innovative way of working with wire. So it was clear to me that it should be the first place winner. This is a piece by Lillian Blum, and it's a mixed media piece that I awarded a second prize to because it captivated my attention. I thought it was absolutely beautifully composed. I loved the movement of the water through the piece and the texturing of the leaves on both sides. It creates a nice balance. The blue is beautiful. It starts at the beginning at the top and then moves towards the midsection, and then more emphasis of it down on the lower section. It's a beautiful tribute to nature, and it's an interesting way of composing a work. First starting with a photograph, working with it in the computer, printing it on canvas, and then coming in and finishing it with acrylic paint. The final touch, which I think really sets it off and sets it apart, is the gold framing around it. This gives it a sense of preciousness, of appreciation for nature, and an iconic quality.